Zal je even helpen, ja.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Capital Day Market or Market Day of Arceus. I'm going to tell you why Arceus is such a successful company, looking at the share price, sales, and margin. And also, I'm going to explain you why this is sustainable, and of course, to tell you all the insights about the beautiful 4 divisions of Arceus. I am the CEO of Arceus, and next to that, I'm also the CEO of Fagron. I'm not double paid, but maybe that's going to be in the future. Today, also Jan Pieters is going to explain a little bit about the numbers. Dirk van Leerbergen, please rise, Dirk, is the CEO of Corylus. He's going to explain a little bit about our future software company. And Jake Jackson is the president of North America Fagron, and now currently from Freedom Pharmaceuticals. When you look at Arceus, we composed of 4 divisions: the Fagron division, Arceus Healthcare Solutions, Arceus Healthcare Specialties, and of course Corylus. Together, we are employing more than 2,500 people all around the globe. The turnover last year was approximately 550 million euros, and of course, you can understand that this year aim is around 600 million. I cannot elaborate on that too much. This presentation is, by the way, in English because this live streamed and it will be published directly on the internet after this event. I also have here a microphone. This is going to be an interactive session. So if you have any questions, please ask them immediately, because I don't like it when we have a presentation and you will afterwards ask for 2 hours questions. So we are more than invited to dare to ask questions, and remind me and remember me, there is never be a stupid question. Okay, so please dare to question. So we are in the healthcare. We have a lot of growth drivers. It's non-cyclical. Everybody's going to be sick once in a while. Growing healthcare expansion. All the specialists in the world want always the best equipment and always the best stuff to help the patient. Therefore, there's always a lot of technical innovation in the business. Of course, we have other demographic benefits like the aging population, the focus on aesthetics, and you cannot watch anymore daily television without any healthcare television program, television show. So these are all beneficial to our businesses. So we built a house when we started in 2007 that's based on 5 pillars: operational excellence, the positions, buy and build, own brands, and added value solutions. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. Focus on excellence. For the whole Arceus group, we have one IT system which enables us to have the best insight in our numbers worldwide. We have an excellent supply chain. Afterwards, you will visit the beautiful warehouse, fully robotized of the Fagron group in the Netherlands. And it's really a challenge to see how beautiful it is designed. We are all planning to robotize all our warehouses globally. And we have all GMP, GDP, state-of-the-art production facilities. Focus on savings, daily operational business, but very important to say, we don't like headhunters. It saves around 1 million euros on a corporate level like us, you know. You pay these guys 3 months salary. For each salary you have to pay annually to the guys. We don't like that. We don't like interims, because our business is so specific that if we hire an interim, they make more mistakes. They don't help the operation whatsoever. We don't like consultants, because if we cannot find our business ourselves, you can better stop. We don't like brokers. We do all our acquisitions ourselves. So, excuse me to the bankers here, but we don't like them. brokers. No advisors, no legal cases. So if somebody doesn't want to work with us anymore, or we don't want to work anymore, we stop that immediately. We say, okay, settle it, make the arrangement. We are not going to any legal case because that's not positive, not productive. It's all negative energy, and we don't want to be involved in that one. And of course, we are firm believers in own talent. So we have high trainings, high education. I will elaborate on that later. And also very contributive to our business model is that we always are the number one or the number two. Mark. Of course, sorry, you want a mic?
You mentioned no legal cases, but you just made a very big acquisition in the US, and the US, I think, is characterized for huge legal claims, etc., a legal culture, in my view. Sorry to offend if you are offended.
No, that's exactly what it is, Mark.
So how do you arrange an acquisition and then
Very
try to
good
prevent
question.
it?
You know, in compounding, as the Freedom Pharmaceutical acquisition is, we are always the intermediate supplier to the end, not to the end user, but to the end producer. So we are the supplier to a pharmacist, and the pharmacist always has the end responsibility for the supplied medicine to the patient. So we always before the end product. We are a business-to-business division. Looking at the acquisition of Freedom, we didn't find any legal case, and he is a lawyer. The owner is a lawyer, so it helps. And that's also one of the reasons that we bought Freedom as a whole, and he will elaborate on that in his presentation. Okay? Thank you, Mark. So with Fagron, we are the global leader in pharmaceutical compounding. I'm going to explain you later what compounding exactly is. Quilis is the market leader in Belgium for software. Dirk is going to present that. We have leading positions in dental cabinets and dental labs in the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and the north of Germany. And Diomed, we are market leader in surgical equipment in Belgium and the Netherlands. So these are all the acquisitions we did the last 5 years. And it's rather impressive. I think we planned this year another 5 for the whole group. Not only in the Fagron group, but also on Corylus and medical. Focus on own brand. When we started the company, it has a own brand value of only 45%. 55% was distributions. We don't like distributions, only if they are adding value to the company. And that's why currently we have 75 own brands and 25 distribution, and the main goal for this year is 90%. That will, of course, increase the margins on a high scale. And how do we achieve all these innovations? By creating added value products. So all the products we are developing are all developed by ourselves and trademarked by Fagron, by Corylus, by Hade. This is the device where we use a lot of surgical equipment for hip surgery. This is a dental oral scanner, also developed and trademarked by O&D. So the financial highlights, Jan, you are the CFO, I believe. So you can elaborate maybe on the numbers. Starting with the sales.
Yes, thank you.
Here.
So also from my side, welcome this morning in this fantastic building. You're going to discover a little bit later in detail. So I'm going to briefly walk you through some highlights, numbers of the last 5 years, just to give you again a little bit more insight on our numbers. So sales grew over the last 5 years, 80%. So we, since the IPO up till 2012, we doubled sales. What more important is that even in let's say, difficult economic environment, especially since 2009, we have been able to grow our gross margin significantly. So we are nearly at 50% now. I hope we're going to break this 50% threshold this year. And I think Freedom will absolutely contribute to this. So today we are at nearly 50% of gross margin. Means that gross margin really is going into the right direction. And this is, of course, thanks to our continuous focus on innovations, new products, so value-added propositions. And as you know, we have basically removed a lot of turnover over the last 5 years, which is not bringing value, which we believe is not growing on a sustainable level. And that means that our product mix is obviously much better than 5 years ago. And going forward, we will continue to focus on these innovations and let's say, very valuable turnover. So we are not, of course, top line is important, but it's not only top line, it's especially bottom line, and that you see in the EBITDA. So we more than doubled EBITDA in the last 5 years to a level of nearly 90 million over 2012. So we're close to the 100 million threshold. That's something we really want to achieve as soon as possible. And EBIT, so after all recurring items and depreciations, amortizations, as you remember, sales growth was like 80%, but we have been able to grow EBIT even much faster than sales. That means that we really create value thanks to, as I said, innovation, gross margin, value-added propositions, but also a continuous focus on costs, OPEX. That means that we still are very focusing on lean and mean organizations, continuously cutting the low-hanging fruit. So we continuously make sure that our managers are focused on operational expenditures, because as you know, as an organization is growing, sometimes some additional costs come into the organization. We continuously put focus on that we can avoid such things like Geir already said, that we avoid all kinds of consultancy costs and all these things. We really want to, we rather prefer to train our own people to do that than to hire these skills out of the organization. This is probably a very important slide so that you see that the repartition of turnover and EBITDA, as well as our staff over 2010 was like 42% was Fagron, and 58% was divided to the other divisions. So healthcare specialties and healthcare solutions, so our distribution businesses were more than 50% of turnover and like 38% of EBITDA. But obviously this changed dramatically over the last 2-3 years. So Fagron is now more than 50% of turnover and 74%, excuse me, of EBITDA, and that obviously that evolution will continue over the next quarters and the next years. There is always a little bit discussion about how high is the leverage of our sales. Is it too high? Is it too low? Private equity guys find it's too low, and analysts find it's too high. But this slide is probably not so important. It's just the absolute numbers. But the next slide is very important. Is that we do believe that the leverage we have in our balance sheet is very healthy and is very given the current cost of capital and the current cost of debt. I think this is a very balanced level of debt we have in our balance sheet. And although we acquired more than 250 million euros for more than 250 million over the last years, we are able to maintain our net debt EBITDA level around 2.5. And that's absolutely our goal, to continue that. So in all acquisitions we do carefully look at the net debt EBITDA level. And this is improving also because our most important divisions, Corylus and Fagron, but also some elements in healthcare specialties and healthcare solutions, they turn their EBITDA into more and more cash every year. Because of working capital is going down, because we limit capex. This building was quite expensive, but But if you look at our CapEx in percentage of sales and our working capital in percentage of sales, it's really going down all over the last 5 years. But also taxes we take carefully. We make sure that we have continuously tax focus, that we focus on taxes. So I think it's a very healthy level of leverage in our balance sheet, and we want to keep that on that level. So if you look at the last 5-6 years, so where did our money go? So we started with a debt level end of 2007 with 50 million, and now end of 2012 we had 233 million. What more important is that we acquired for approximately 235 million without freedom, obviously, because it's till the end of 2012. But we created EBITDA of 266, so that means that our EBITDA level more than cover our acquisitions. Investments is about 90 million. We do have a decent yield, dividend yield, so and we also want to keep that for the next years. Of course, we pay some interest to the banks, some taxes, too high, but we have to. But what's more important is that we didn't invest any euro in working capital. At the contrary, it declined over the last 5 years. That makes our cash flow generation, so our EBITDA conversion into cash, really improved significantly over the last years. And also there, not only OpEx, but we continuously focus and also put bonuses for our managers to make sure that working capital doesn't go beyond a certain level. So if you look at acquisitions, where did we spend our money? Mostly it's Fagron, 80%. And in all the other divisions, it's add-on acquisitions, so not territorial expansion or whatsoever. It's just add-on acquisitions, things we believe could add value to the current business of these divisions. But of course, Fagron is really focused on globalizing his business. A little, I think it's...
Mark has a question.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
Can you please skip to the previous slide on working capital? I was wondering whether you have a thing of it, like a target to what kind of percentage of sales you can reduce it. So it's impressive the progress you've made. So as a percentage of sales, do you think that there's do you have a number in mind, a percentage in mind?
It largely depends on also the product mix. For example, we shifted from consumable products to in healthcare solutions from consumables over the last 5 years to capital equipment. There, obviously, you have a very low level of inventory for capital equipment. You basically don't have a lot, only spare parts. So it depends on the product mix. It depends on certain elements. Of course, you cannot go down to zero. It's our probably dream, but you always will have some inventory. In some cases, we sometimes even higher the inventory, increase the inventory, because product availability is more important than working capital, because obviously we're not being able to deliver products is more important than just save some money on working capital. So we try to find a good balance, but I think we are now around a lead of even below 10%. I mean, this is more or less the maximum we can achieve. But that means that if we keep that level in percentage of sales, that means that the delta, your difference in years, what we want is that we don't invest in working capital, okay? But we should be able to keep that current level more or less. Of course, we focus on continuously improving it, but we cannot go down to zero. That's clear.
Thank you.
So our performance, it's what they call the feather in the ass slide. Yeah. No, I think given the fact that we have up till now, and we will continue to do that, obviously, been able to outperform the most of the indexes, because I think that we have a fairly good track record and that we didn't have any major surprises we had to announce to the market. Therefore, especially since 2011, we outperformed the market quite significantly, and we hope we can and we will do our utmost best to continue that track record. This is just the numbers, so we outperform the market like roughly with 50%. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So these are all the 4 divisions. I'm now going to elaborate on the Fagron one. It's all about compounding. You will understand, I founded that company in 1919 in Rotterdam. Fagron is actually the basis of RCS. We like it that it is being led by a founder CEO. We like that everywhere. It's very important to keep the culture in the company. We are giving employment to 1,300 employees all around the globe, more than 150 pharmacists, which tells you more and more about the scientific basis of the Fagron Group, and the turnover of 290 million euros in 2012. So we built organization, and when you look at this slide, it's very promising because Michael is the area manager of Germany, Poland, the Nordic and France, 35. Rafael Padilla, a Spanish guy, 34, totally responsible, very successful for South America. And Jake Jackson will be the president of North America, the president of Fagron North America. And by the way, or maybe you have a new career, but so it's a very young, dynamic management, and we hope that will remain very successful. So what is pharmaceutical compounding? It's all about tailor-made medication. It's based on active pharmaceutical ingredients which are out of patent. There's a lot of compounding all around the globe. You will see that in a movie. It's all about alternative dosage forms, alternative dosage strengths. So, for example, I have here a product called methadone. You know, in the past there were always a lot of tablets of methadone. You can understand it in the jail and in addiction programs. The addicted persons did if they swallow the tablet, but now we made this tailor-made in different strengths solution, so they cannot trade any more illegal methadone tablets in jail or in addiction programs. I have a pump we are made for people who are suffering very much for pain. They put it in a pump behind the back. Just I have now my mic here, and they do it on a pump, and they can walk all day long on the street, shopping with the wives, although they are very ill. So this limited also a lot of hospital days, hospitalization days, and that's because we are able to make all these beautiful equipment. So I'm not going to this one. So the key drivers of pharmaceutical compounds are every pharmacist like more and more to sell that he's able to compound, that he's producing a lot of medicines themselves. Who of you did know that a pharmacist still make medicines himself? Who did that? Yeah, Mark, you are an analyst. Jan, did you know? Sorry? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That man said, I just make losses on it.
Yeah, that's no good. But we are helping him with that, okay? Because tailor-made compounding in a pharmacy is, due to the reimbursement, the low reimbursement of the insurance company, not profitable for the pharmacist. And we are helping them to be more profitable because we take all the work out of his hands with our own compounding pharmacies. So that's why they like us so much.
But isn't it a risk when it makes losses for them to say we skip it as most as possible?
No, but because when you look at the losses of the pharmacy currently in the Netherlands, I suppose you're talking about,
yes.
Nearly 40% of the pharmacies are now making losses. And it's all about medication distribution and not so much about pharmaceutical compounding. We help them, and it will be clear to you after this presentation, we help them to make it a little bit more profit out of it than they do right now. Okay? So all around the globe, a lot of pharmacists are compounding all in the backyard of their pharmacy. So it's not transparent. You don't see the labor. So they're not very good in selling their added value. So why there are a lot of key drivers for pharmaceutical compounding? More and more people are aware about their own healthcare through internet. Tailor-made it's all tailor-made compounding, it's all tailor-made medicines. When you have side effect, because you have a too high dosage, because commercially available is only 5 milligram, you want to have 2 milligram, then a pharmacist can help you by supplying that 2 milligram solution. A lot of drug shortages are currently taking place all around the globe, and they really helps the Fagron business, because we are always the solution for such a shortage.
Patient care started with compounding. From grinding roots and berries to create simple salves, poultices and potions to cater to the needs of the sick or wounded. Medicine and pharmacy has progressed from secret knowledge passed on from the ancients to highly complex research-based formulations that can be tailored to the exact and unique requirements of today's patient. It is because the modern pharmacist has the unique knowledge to convert the prescriber's bespoke prescription into a specific solution, the patient can be confident that the intervention is tailored to their individual need and will help achieve the best possible outcome. From prenatal to end of life, compounding provides the opportunity for the clinician to prescribe appropriate treatment when a commercial product is not suitable or available. Today's compounding professional has at their fingertips the raw materials and equipment of the highest standards of quality. It is this quality that makes compounding the right choice, and for some patients, the only choice. In hospital or in the home, compounding plays an essential role. Many of the life-saving intravenous drugs given in hospitals are compounded for the specific needs of the individual. The needs of home healthcare patients are often met by compounded medications, including, for instance, total parenteral nutrition. The needs of patients with rare conditions are rarely met until an orphan drug treatment is available. Compounding can be the solution. The use of evidence-based and justified combinations of active pharmaceutical ingredients decreases the number and frequency of drug intakes, making compliance easier. In today's economic climate, the healthcare industry is forced to look at even more ways to control costs and increase value, while maintaining the high standards of care that patients have come to expect and often demand. A specific tailor-made treatment can often result in less drug wastage. The patient only gets the amount they need as they need it. Commercially manufactured drugs may be discontinued or become unavailable. Compounding can be a timely solution for the clinician and a life-saving intervention for the patient until the drug returns to the market. A compounded medicine with exact treatment quantities enables the clinician, the carer, and the patient to improve compliance and aid recovery. Illness, infirmity, and often pain are an inescapable reality towards the end of a life, whether young or old. To contribute towards a dignified and pain-free transition is one of the clinician or carer's priorities, and the compounding of many different dosage forms is vital to the palliative care and the reduction of suffering for end-of-life patients. Today's pharmacists can compound radioactive tagged products. Through continuous research and development and the constant drive for the highest standards in every aspect of the compounding supply chain, tomorrow's compounding professional will play an important role in nanotherapy and the next generation of genetic treatments. The future of extemporaneous compounding must be secured to ensure that the patient's most appropriate treatment will be at the prescriber's fingertips. compounding has come of age and offers solutions that are relevant, timely, and most importantly, effective for today's and tomorrow's patient. Compounding matters.
So you see that compounding is everywhere in the society, helping all kinds of patients, sick people, and so on, from youth to elderly people. Now we're going to elaborate why Fagron is now so extremely successful in this market. So the strategy for us is to innovate compounding to help all the pharmacists all around the globe with making formulations, making medicines for very specific patient groups. And therefore we are very equipped to improve the quality of life of the patients everywhere. Our values of the Fagron Group are so important to us. The customer is always number one. We are very result driven, everywhere KPIs. We are always very entrepreneurial, not a report company, but really making a lot of success. Very innovative. I'm going to show you a lot of innovations. We love to have a good speed of execution, and we want to behave with class like a global market leader, like we currently are. So we are on a daily basis influencing the prescribers by saying, okay, this is the added value for your patients. If you have a product which is only commercially available in 10 grams or it is not available, we can make it via the pharmacist or the hospital pharmacist for you and for the patient. The patient has, because it has the right dosage form, lesser side effect, and of course is very, very satisfied with our solution. The business model of the Fagron Group consists of 5 pillars. First of all, we are supplying many raw materials, from corticosteroids to hormones, to antibiotics, to amino acids, to vitamins. We do a lot of let's say compounding equipment which support the compounding. Capsule filling machines I'll show you later. We give a lot of education about pediatric formulation, pain management, hormone replacement therapy, and that's also very important. And we do finally have the top of the pyramid, sorry, I make a mistake, was too fast. That's more going on, so I have to. The top of the pyramid consists of very high level formulations for hospitals, like intravitreal injections, cytostatics for cancer patients, everywhere in the globe. Yeah.
Just a question on all the products and services you have there.
Sorry.
To what extent do you have exclusivity to the dosage forms, the equipment, supplies you have? To what degree is that an intellectual property exclusivity, and to what extent is it just a barrier to entry in terms of skill and investment and experience and network?
Due to the fact that we are not, let's say, that the API is out of patent, we make the formulation, and of course the formulation is always free. That's a free market. But of course, when we are designing our vehicles, for example, base creams or solutions for such a formulation, that's trademarked by ourselves. So that's the winning link for us. So for example, we designed with the University of Rotterdam, we provide a skin gel, which is very beneficial for early melanomas for skin cancer. By designing this gel, we limited the days of hospitalization from 5 to polyclinical. Okay, so a patient comes with our gel. So the API in the gel is not formulated, but the gel, which generates the power to the photodynamic therapy, is really our own design, and that protects us from being, let's say that our, how you say that, intellectual property is being stolen. You understand? So the in-between vehicle, the intermediate product, is helping us to protect our formulation.
Right. So do you have the formulation, for example? Is there patents and/or trade secrets to
That are trademarks.
Trademarks like the Fagron
Trademark.
brand.
Yes, exactly. The trademark like Pentravan with an R behind it.
Right.
Okay.
And then, for example, you said compounding equipment. For example, if you've designed, do you own?
Yeah.
Is it how proprietary?
Yes.
is it
For
basically?
example, this capsule filling machine. You know, you make capsules. Every pharmacist knows this thing. This is being trademarked by Fagron. This is own design. It's making much more easy for very sick young children. We have lollipops. We designed this, and of course, the formulation for the lollipop is also being designed with a lot of intermediates which are protected by our trademark. Yeah. So, we are a global company. In only 3 years, we became from a European market leader, we became world market leader, and this animation shows a little bit how we did that. So we are in nearly every European country. The European market for compounding is estimated at 2 billion. Then we went 3 years ago to South America, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, also in Colombia, Medellin, Cali, Bogota. And the last 4 years we also entered the US of A market and also a 4 billion market, total market of 10 billion US dollars. And this is where you understand that the US is a very important part of our business model because compounding is very, very exploding in the US. And that's why you understand that our top priority for 2013 was to expand our business model in North America and Canada because the geographical split was 67% Europe, 29% South America, and only 4% the US. That's why we acquired a beautiful company led by Jake Jackson, who is now taking the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, before I get going, a couple things, a couple disclaimers. I am an attorney. Start with disclaimers. I'm very passionate about these topics, about this company, about everything that I do. So I'm going to talk really fast and get excited. If you don't understand what I'm saying, raise your hand. Jake, I have no idea what you just said, and I'll go back and clarify. I'm getting to know Fagron for the first time, like many of you are. And before I get going here, one thing that I'll tell you, you're going to take the tour today. I took it yesterday. This is second to none, literally. The operations side, what you're going to see today in this facility is remarkable. There is nothing like this in the United States. So I'm very excited about bringing this message back, optically and otherwise, to the United States and basically say, hey, this is what's coming, because it is, with this combination of these two great companies. Mark, you had a question about the legal aspect of the U.S. market, correct? Why don't you tell me a little bit more about what your question was about so I can address that before I even get going?
Just was wondering to what extent there is a risk when Fagron does business in the US.
Yeah.
Where are the legal risks in that, given that it is always such a
Litigious society, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Gare was right in what he said. We are playing essentially a role as the middleman here. At the end of the day, the pharmacist and the pharmacy is ultimately responsible. There was recently an outbreak in the U.S. market, which I figured you knew about, which led to some legal issues. The supplier of that material did not get brought in whatsoever. It was a process issue. And if what they found is true, this pharmacy was truly criminally active. I mean, they were acting criminally if what is going on is true. So the supplier of that material, of which Freedom was not, another competitor of ours was, to my knowledge, did not even get brought in. So it's really not a concern from that standpoint. Okay, so I founded Freedom in 2010. My background, as you know, is in the law. I started, see if I can get this thing to work here. I started as an assistant attorney general. In the United States, that's basically at the state level, the attorney general in every state, and I worked there really getting to know the landscape of the public, the political side of the law. From there, I went on to become general counsel of a large independent compounding pharmacy group. 3 locations, doing over 200 compounds a day, compounding only pharmacy. Really got to understand the retail level of what's going on in this industry, and was blessed to have that opportunity, which led into what I'm currently doing. Currently, I am the CEO, founder of Freedom Pharmaceuticals. Effective January 1st, 2014, I will become the president of Fagron North America. I'm not taking Brock's seat. He's still going to be there. But this right here is a wonderful opportunity for us in the U.S. market, and I'm very excited to get to that point and take over the entire operations of North America. So we specialize in the custom, and custom is important, the custom wholesale distribution of premium compounding chemicals to our independent compounding pharmacies. In the U.S. market, you've got big chains, you've got Walgreens, CVS, you've all heard of them, you've got independents. Our focus at Freedom originally was on the independent side. That's just what I knew. We have an opportunity to expand that into other markets, but right now we've been focused on the independent side of compounding pharmacy. The reason that it's customized is that what you don't have in the U.S. is other wholesalers saying, hey, we understand you need a kilo of whatever ingredient. Where we differ is we know that you may have, a majority of pharmacies have stations that they compound at, maybe up to 10, maybe 3, maybe 2, maybe 1. So if you want a kilo of a product, doesn't it make sense that you can order either 1 by 1,000 gram or 1 kilo container, 2 by 500, 10 by 100, that way you diminish the risk of cross-contamination. And so you've got these pods within the compounding pharmacy that are able to use their own jar or container of this ingredient. And so we were really the first to bring that to market, where the pharmacy and the pharmacist has an option not only of what ingredient they need, but what package size it comes in. That's truly customizable. Our mantra right here, empower, execute, and enjoy. We believe that for our customers and our employees. My goal every day is to empower our employees to make sure that they get the job done. I help them execute. At the end of the day, we all enjoy from it. On the customer side, we've empowered our customers with regard to the education that I'm going to go into in detail. We've empowered them with the knowledge that they need to curtail or model their business after what is the most successful and what is the most profitable in the U.S. market. We execute by helping them day to day. We're a business partner with them. We don't just educate them and say, on your way. We're working with them literally every day. Yes?
You were mentioning the independents. Is there consolidation going on? I mean, like the CVSs and the green walls, will they do more acquisitions so that your addressable market is shrinking?
No. In fact, what we've seen is that Walgreens and CVS are trying to stay away from compounding. It's very complex, very difficult to do. So they do a little bit, but their goal, they don't have a buy and build strategy of going after independents to take them out of the market, not by any means. In fact, I've actually seen where independents are buying from Walgreens and CVS their compounding business, kind of the other way around. Good question. Here's our sales. From the 2011 was our first full year. We did just under $3 million. We more than tripled that in 2012, and we expect to do over $25 million in 2013. And the question is, how in the world did we do that? How do you do that? Yes, Mark.
Does that make you the number 2 player in the U.S. market?
This makes us, actually no, and we'll get to that later, but no, it doesn't. But I've got a good slide on that, so we'll get to that. So how did we do this? And the answer is actually simple. In the U.S. market, we were very successful at giving access to patients in compounding. And what I mean by that is we grew the market. There was a very limited market opportunity in compounding. What I mean by that is you had a focus on a cash-only business model, yet in the United States, an overwhelming majority of people have insurance, private or otherwise, and I'll get into that. So we recognized a gap in the market where we could educate, assist, guide, and leverage that for our customers. And so we have effectively created more access to compounds for patients in the U.S. And here is a very important slide, and I like to focus here, not so much here, because at the end of the day, we are a service company that just so happens to sell chemicals. and I really believe that. We do all these other things here that I'll get into in detail. At the end of the day, yes, we sell chemicals and it leads to the sales of chemicals, but that's how we really have a mantra. That's how we believe ourselves in the US market. We want to service our customer. At the end of the day, they're going to buy our product. The opportunities that have came out of these, some are newer than others and some are started us day one, is such that most people start out selling products, then they get into the service side. Well, we started out as a service company. I started CPCSI with my family in 2009, and then by 2010 we had started Freedom. So CPCSI, which I will go into, is a consulting company that never before existed in the US. The methodologies, the information, the technology, the ability of what we're doing there, never before. And still, we're the only one to have this capability in the United States market. So we'll start with PASS. This is our way of branding our quality. In the United States, that is number one. Quality, consistency is number one in the US market to pharmacies. What they don't want to see is a change. What they don't want to see is inconsistent product. What they don't want to see is a product that they even question as not being of the highest quality. And so we recognize that immediately. And not only do we have the highest quality products, we are FDA registered, CGMP compliant facility, USP, National Formulary, our SOPs, second to none, certificates of analysis, MSDS, that's technical stuff. At the end of the day, from procuring the product to conditioning the product to repacking it down, our process is the best. And we feel very strongly that that's going to continue to grow and get better with the help of Fagron. CPCSI is the consulting company that led to Freedom. And let me give you a little bit of a synopsis about the US healthcare market, of which, by the way, 20% of GDP in the US is spent in healthcare. And so this right here was an opportunity that I saw when I entered the retail side. Here I am, general counsel, a large compounding pharmacy. Recognized immediately that there was a gap in the market with regard to the ability of compounding pharmacies to bill their products to insurance. What does that mean? In the US market, an overwhelming majority of people have insurance of some form, mostly private. An overwhelming majority of that is private. We'll get into Obamacare, but right now as the market stands, it is a majority, I would say 60% is private insurance. From there, you would have an average of 4 to 5 patients out of 10 walking through the pharmacy's door that the pharmacist could not take care of. What do I mean by that? They had insurance, private or otherwise, and they could not use it. The patient could not use their insurance, so they would forego healthcare. They would forego compounding. They literally would say, okay, I spend all this money for my insurance, and you can't take it. I'm not going to get this. You would see that from top to bottom. Millionaires down to indigent. It did not matter. If you weren't able to use the insurance, they would forgo healthcare. It was amazing. So we recognized that gap in the market. What we were able to do here is say, okay, pharmacies, let's grow your business. Let's grow your model. You need to be able to accept insurance. And so from my legal background, what we were capable of doing was educating those pharmacies and those pharmacists with regard to the black letter law of billing compounds to insurance. PBMs. How many of you know Express Scripts? Ever heard ESI, Express Scripts in the US market? Largest PBM, research them. Largest PBM in the US market, and what they do is they actually manage pharmacy benefits. If you can't build them, you're missing 40% of the market. Compounders were missing 40% of the market, conservatively. And so through this class, they would come in and we would meet with them one-on-one at first, and then it grew to a one class every month. And we would educate them on how do you do this properly to get them and maximize your reimbursement. This is the only class of its kind in the US at this time. I'm sorry? They pay for it, yes. This is not free, and that's a good point. In fact, the price just went up. What we do, this is a program where they pay several $1,000s, and they are capable of now understanding how do I grow my business. Oh, and by the way, we're teaching them how to use our products in order to do that. So we're educating from the ground up. DPI is a relatively new division within Freedom. I'm not sure here in Europe, but veterinary compounding in the US is exploding. And I mean at a very fast rate. I mean, you can see the graphic here, the number of cats and dogs. How many people in here have a cat or a dog? Yeah, okay. In the US, every hand but one would have gone up, literally. Everyone has a cat or dog, or like my friend in the back, a guinea pig. And so what we found is that not only is this market exploding, but people are willing to pay more to treat their animals than they are themselves in certain cases. And so we've created an entire division focused, laser focused on the veterinary market. We wanted to keep it separate from the human side for quality and other optics reasons, but at the end of the day, what this is going to do is allow Freedom to get into this market at a very high level with a very focused approach.
No, in Europe we have a protective model for veterinarian compounding. Maybe it's going to be more freely in the future, but now currently there's really no actual compounding for vets or pets in Europe and in South America. Okay.
And this extends in the US market, this extends not only cats and dogs, but also equine, horses. The only thing that you cannot do is food producing animals in the US market. So big opportunity here. Sure.
What's driving this exploding growth in the veterinary compounding? What's the reason?
You
for
know,
that?
first of all, it's recession proof. There was obviously a dip in the US market across the board. This is one area that was recession proof with regard to compounding the veterinary market. What's growing it is this. There's more and more animals. There's more and more people having domesticated animals. And so in the US, literally, they treat it like the family. A cat and a dog is treated like a member of the family, and I do the same thing. I have 2 miniature dachshunds. My wife would tell you that we love these things to pieces. So people are willing to not just spend money on health care for their animals. In fact, they're getting insurance for their pets. But they're also willing to spend more money than they would otherwise with themselves. And so that's a huge opportunity for us. FPSS, we do provide compounding support, formulation assistance. Top to bottom, we want to be able to, if you're using our product, we want to help you use it effectively and efficiently. But where we differ from other people in the industry is this area right here. So you may have a formula, or you may have a recipe, however you call it, of what ingredients go in and how to compound it. We look at it totally different. The science has to be behind it, that's for sure. It has to be medically necessary. Everything that we do is supported by evidence. But one thing that we look at is, how do we get this thing reimbursed? Certain insurance companies, certain PBMs cover a host of ingredients, and others they do not. Or they cover the application device, the syringe, what have you, and others they do not. So our people are trained to actually educate as they go, educate the pharmacists and the pharmacies on how to build their formulas so that they're reimbursable. Other companies in our market do not understand, care, pay any attention to this, because at the end of the day, they don't, this right here is the future, and they're about a decade behind. That's important to know. Freedom Chemical Supply. We have focused our products, so we've got the same products sitting there on the shelf in other industries. And so the other industries would be R&D, yes.
Is that competition is a decade behind? I
That's
mean,
right.
You founded the company a couple of years ago, so can you?
The industry, not our company. So others in the industry literally have preached for the longest time cash-only business model because they didn't understand the third-party side, the reimbursement model. And so when I say that, I mean for 30 years they preached that, and we were the first one to come along and actually build or organically grow the market based on our knowledge and our ability to teach this.
But this could a competition could start like today, right? And it would be like maybe
They could try, and they're 10 years behind.
Then
Yeah. So this division right here is a new division to Freedom as well. What we've done is focused our small USP grade. USP in the US, United States Pharmacopoeia, is considered the top grade product in the US market. So what we've done is we focused the USP grade material in other markets. Research and development, hospitals, custom manufacturing, all the way down to certain things like shampoo, medically necessary shampoo. What we've done is a very disciplined approach to this. What we found because of this discipline is that actually the margins are better in this area than they are in other parts of pharmacy. And so that was impressive for us to figure this out. And so we focused 500 products, and together with Fagron, we'll have more than 5,000 at our fingertips, at our disposal. Okay, the US market in general. The big takeaway here, it is truly an unlimited future. You have over $200 billion in the US pharmacy industry in the US. 3.6 billion prescriptions written annually. Currently, we represent 1 to 3%. That's it, and growing. It's a $4 billion US pharmacy compounding industry, and that is increasing literally month over month. We think that, and based on the reports by IBIS, there's going to be a 5% growth through 2017 in the US market. When you break it down, if we break it down right here, this is primarily where we sit with regard to raw ingredients, like you talk about lidocaine, benzocaine, just raw ingredients in general. You go further from there, this is what Gary was talking about with regard to shortages, drug shortages, currently unavailable. In the US market, that is going up. Every day you hear about a manufacturer that either can't keep up a shortage or discontinued a product. Right here, the pharmaceutical application alteration, this is taking a pill and putting it into a topical or something that can be injected. And then right here, the dosage alteration is maybe commercially available. They've got a 5% cream. We can compound a 10%, a 30%, a 40%. And then lastly, up here, this 10% would include the veterinary market, specialized pharmaceutical manufacturing. And in the US, we don't like to combine the word manufacturing with compounding. This is the ability of compounders to be more active on the veterinary side. External drivers. All of these right here are positive. These are all going up. Number of physician visits increasing. Education of doctors increasing. Drug shortages rapidly increasing. Number of pets, you saw the graphic. And per capita income, disposable income is also increasing. Here is where we have focused at Freedom and in the US market. These areas right here. Gary mentioned earlier BHRT and the baby boomers going on in the US market, increasing literally every day. BHRT is a way to replace the hormones that your body naturally produces. And from men to women, testosterone to progesterone, this is increasing at a very fast rate. And manufacturers can't get into this space for a lot of reasons. And it gives compounders a unique opportunity to compound a tailor-made drug for the patient. Wound care is another area. Wound care, and we refer to kind of clean wounds, surgery centers. The advancements in compounding with regard to wound care in the US market, we're just seeing, or in its infancy, we're just seeing this start to take off. Upper and lower respiratory, this is where the patient's actually able to take the nebulizer home and do treatment at home, keeps them out of the hospital. Compounders are able to put active pharmaceutical ingredients into these solutions. This is the largest in the US market currently. Topical pain creams. And so the benefits of this are, as you know, or likely know in the US market, there's an abuse problem. Oxycodone, hydrocodone, all these pills. Kids are dying, adults are dying. It's an abuse problem, an addiction problem like we've never seen before. This right here allows a compounding pharmacy to mix up a group of APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and put it on the site, the application site of injury. And so if you've hurt your arm, your knee, your leg, your elbow, whatever it is, you can literally take a topical pain cream and rub it on the site of injury. You reduce systemic effect of taking a pill and it affecting your entire body. You reduce the effect of getting addicted. There's no way to get addicted to a topical pain cream. And there's no way to abuse it. There's no street value. You sell these pills on the street for 20 bucks a pop. Here, no street value. Doctors love this. This is a huge growth opportunity in the US market. Okay, everybody's favorite, Obamacare. So, as I said earlier, we have insurance coverage is primarily private at this time. The law was passed a year ago, whereby Medicaid, essentially at the state level, is going to be expanding to cover. So what do I mean by that? Here you have Medicare. So in the US, you've got to divide between state and federal healthcare, state and federal insurance. Right now, Medicare accounts for the age 65 and older and the retired group. Medicaid accounts for indigent or the poor. You've got your employers that are providing privatized healthcare. Then you've got this whole group up here, either not poor enough, not old enough, or the employers don't provide insurance. So what Obamacare has essentially done is provide access, and that's the key, access to healthcare to 30 million more Americans. What does that mean to us? Compounding and generics are the cheapest alternative. And so how are they going to pay for this? Obviously through taxes. But the other way is essentially through lowering the cost of drug spend. And compounding fills that gap. It fills that need to have 30 million more Americans on insurance with regard to how you're going to cover, what are they going to use. And so, excuse me, we feel that Obamacare is a huge opportunity for our customers because they're already knowledgeable. They already know how to do it. They already know how to bill insurance. This is going to be a private exchange at the state level. So that means that all these PBMs that I talked about are going to be involved, all the insurance companies are going to be involved. Everything related to what currently exists on the private side is now going to include public health care to potentially 30 million more Americans. So we feel that our customers who are educated, more educated than others in the industry, are going to benefit from this greatly. Yes?
How much is the contribution of the Obamacare program in 2012 for the impressive growth? And should the program be amended or cancelled in the future? Is your sustainable growth at risk? Or
I think I understand the question. So Obamacare is already here. It's already happening now. States are already implementing the exchanges, and we're starting to see more and more coverage. And so in 2000, you said 12, but 13? Do you mean?
Actually, we have seen the growth of 2012 was impressive.
Right. That did not include Obamacare.
Okay, nothing to do with Obamacare.
That's right. It's just now starting to take effect in 13. So we think that 13, we will have the effect of Obamacare in 13. We will have the benefit of Obamacare in 13. Yes. Okay, so where does this put us in the U.S. market? Currently, here is where Fagron and B&B sit. Here's where Freedom sits. You asked me the question earlier, where do we stand right now in the market? This is where we stand. What is it going to look like after this acquisition? We will effectively move into the number 2 position and immediately start to make a run at number 1. Very confident that we will become number 1 in this market. Not only this market, when I say this market, I'm going to group in North America, Canada as well. We're going after Canada, and we're doing it with vigor. At the end of the day, this acquisition, as of today, as we announced this today in the U.S., will solidify our position number 2 and put us on track for number 1. Any questions? Yes?
Is it profitable for independent pharmaceutical compounders to do compounding?
Is it profitable?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Okay.
is. In fact, we've seen more and more, the compounding industry is growing with new compounders because what is not profitable is sitting there counting pills. The brands, the generics, a typical independent pharmacy, that's getting lowered. The reimbursement is getting lowered. This right here is a great opportunity for profitability.
Okay.
Yes.
And maybe a small second question.
Sure.
How does the traditional pharmaceutical industry look at this?
Traditional look at So, great
Yeah.
question. They can't do what we do. They know that they need us. They can't make millions and millions of pills that's specifically tailored to individual dosage forms. So really, and again, remember, this is 1 to 3% of the market. Really, I don't think they're concerned. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Are you also planning to enter the market of cosmeceuticals, like products for skin aging and dark spots and etc.?
In the U.S. market, we are, yes, but they're going to be by prescription, and they're going to be evidence-based. They're going to basically have the science and the studies behind what we're doing, which is unlike anything else in the U.S. market currently.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Jan, maybe a mic here, please.
Can you help us understand a little bit the market? So you say it's $4 billion US.
Correct.
The number 4, Freedom, did $17 million US last year. I reckon the number 1, 2, and 3 will be a little bit more, but definitely not 100 million US dollar companies. So how is that market built up with so many players then apparently? Or is there something else that we are missing in this 4 billion?
Clarification. 4 billion at the retail level, not the raw ingredients. So that's pharmacies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the eligible market for the business Fagron is sitting in? What's the size of that? Can
So
you help
you
us
can
with
figure 1 to 3% of a $4 billion market.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question, yes?
What part of the US are you covering today?
40 states and
40
growing.
states.
Yes.
Okay. Have you already figured out what the procurement savings could be? It's maybe too early.
You know, we have not. I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We cannot disclose that yet, but we will do that on a later standpoint. By the way, Freedom covers 40 states, and we are, as a group, covering 52 states, including Hawaii. So, I'm going to do a little bit faster because I want you to have some coffee in 10 minutes. So, I spent 10 minutes of time with you. So this is a little bit our own verb, Fagronization. So what we do when we acquire the company, we do many integration processes on finance, EM, marketing and operations. And everybody believes that we are very successful in this because we have many, many talented persons in finance, IM, marketing and operations. I'm not going to do this in detail, but be assured that in 12 months, there is a total integration with the Fagron Group for every global company within the Fagron Group. Operations, purchasing, and so on. We are having a CPA, Central Purchase Agency, so it's not a CIA, but a CPA, and it's really doing the utmost. We just started a own purchase affiliate in China, in Shanghai, to be right on the suppliers of active pharmaceutical ingredients. Finance, of course, very, very important. After 3 months, we know everything financially of that company, banking accounts, tax-wise, and so on, and we help them. Okay, the results of 2012, because this is where it's all about. So you see a tremendous growth in our industry, which underpins, of course, Jake's firm belief in the US market as well. We grew by more than 164%, even in very difficult economical circumstances. Our internal growth rate was always around 8 and 10%. And of course, we do some acquisitions. As you see, we did more than 14 from 2009. We do that with approximately 1,300 people. The sales per FTE in 2010, 2011, there, Brazil came in. Brazil is like a sort of hidden unemployment. There are a lot of people working there who shouldn't work there. So if you enter a building, you receive a committee of more than 4 people only by saying goodbye to you. One is opening the door. The second is sitting next to the GM, to the director. The third one is taking some coffee, and the fourth one, I don't know what he does, but they're there. Yeah, so we diminished there very severely the headcount, and that results in a significant raise in 2012 of the sales per FTE. The gross margin, as you see, is exploding once again in a very, that's why we see that we are doing very scientific work. We help the hospital pharmacists, the European pharmacists, the community pharmacists, the US pharmacist. We're creating very good formulation which enables him to get good profit out of his work. You said that you hear Jake, the US market, pharmacists are looking for another earning model. It's the same in Europe. Pharmacists are not making earnings on distributions of medicines. Their earnings, and that's a little bit contradiction to your Netherlands question, but the rest of Europe, everybody is making earnings on compounding. So that's why they embrace compounding more and more. That's a real added value for their own earning model, and it underlines their ability and their professions. So Jan, our CFO, mentioned that we have a very good OPEX control. So where our operational expenditures are very, very declining. And of course, a beautiful EBITDA of 62.4 million euros, 21.5. This is not a statement going forward. This is my own ambition. 2014, Fagron shall and shall definitely be a 100 million EBITDA company. It's not an official RCS statement, it's my own professional ambition as being the CEO of Fagron, not as being the CEO of RCS. Okay, question?
Yes, what's the free cash percentage you could get out of the business? Have you a target or?
Jan?
We can say that the cash conversion of Fagron before taxes and before interest and dividends and so really just business related. So if we take into account capex and working capital, it's more or less 100%. So EBITDA to cash before taxes, before interest, is roughly 100%. So it's a nice cash conversion. It's the highest free cash flow generator of the group, obviously.
Okay. So this is the goal of the Fagron Group. These are all the innovations we are making every year through the 150 pharmacists who are daily investigating, designing, developing new formulations. These are the in-between vehicles. So a transdermal biohormone replacement therapy cream is made via our Pentavan. The lolly base is making it possible for pharmacists to make lollipops for very sick children or elderly people. And so I can continue on a very, I will not go in too deep into that. This is the new part, which we are now currently developing. We are making lots of medications, cytostatics, pain treatments, morphine cassettes for all the pharmacists in the Netherlands, hospital pharmacists, the Netherlands and in Belgium, and we started to expand that business model. So, okay, sorry. When you look at, this is the new sector of the Fagron Group. We make a lot of IV bags, cytostatics, easy pumps, as I'll show you later, before. So this is a little bit our new facility in Hogeveen. And then we just built one in Belgium, where we make all these beautiful compounding medicines for hospitals. And we're going to expand this business model throughout Europe. We also have our own compounding centers in Colombia. And this is an actual design of one of our pharmacies in Bogota. You see the patient comes is like a sort of modern service center. It's not a pharmacy. It not looks like a pharmacy. It helps. It's like being at a healthcare provider. It's not being, I'm going to pick up my medicine. Here is behind the desk sitting a pharmacist, which help them, which help the patients with a compounded, tailor-made medicine. These are all the drivers which makes the Fagron success hugely. So we train a lot of pharmacists all around the world with how they should make formulations. So this is in Brazil. We do more than 2,000 courses annually. We have the Fagron Foundation. We have a beautiful aim to do good work. Also in Brazil, this is in Sao Paulo, where we have our own Casa Magistral, which helps children which are very poor to educate them. The global management program, as you say, we do it all ourselves. We don't like hiring people too much. It's all education, our own pharmacist. So talented young professional, master preferably in pharmacy, internal and external candidates, international ambition, and of course leadership potential, because we believe firmly in leadership. And the partner program is, we have all the pharmacies which are clients from us. So globally, Fagron Group has more than 200,000 pharmacies as being a client. So we have a large customer base. And of course, we want to bind them with our loyalty programs everywhere. So Fagron is really becoming the #1 global pharmaceutical compounding brand in the world, the absolute #1 multinational. This is the Chinese Fagron sign. This is the European Chinese, and this is the Saudi Arabic sign of the Fagron Group. We sell actually a lot of in Saudi Arabia, and we're starting to be very successful in the Mid East. So thank you for your attention. We will continue the presentation with after the coffee break, which is now, which you like. Thank you. So, good morning. I'm not going to entertain you any longer for the time being. Dirk van Lerberg, one of our best CEOs of the RCS Group, is now going to present all about Corylus and give them the best show.
Thank you, Geert. Good afternoon, everybody. And as Geert said, I will elaborate a bit on what we do at Corylus and how we look to the market and how we can assure stable growth in the future. So I think this slide is a bit summarizing of the entire company. Corylus is about servicing each day 25,000 customers with a good interaction with our medical practitioners, our customers, the government. Government is very important because our business is very government driven. And to quickly respond and develop the necessary software, we have a team of 110 developers. So in total, we are around 275 people, among which 110 developers, 90 developers in-house, and more we go offshore with our developments towards India and towards Serbia. We do that for two reasons: flexibility when we need extra resources, and also in a cost aspect. Our turnover is made up about 65% of own brands, so own software products, and we work out of 7 locations in Belgium. We deliver only software for the medical practitioners or the paramedical professionals. We don't do any IT business out of that, so that's really our single scope. And our strategy for growth, we still see a lot of potential in Belgium. I explain you later on why. And we see their growth on an organic growth, developing additional modules, functionalities, or entering in new niches. And acquisitions. Acquisitions to have a bigger part of the market, so we can deploy more applications, or to acquire good products. If you look at an international level, we are quite successful on 2 levels. It's with MediaDent. It's an application that's made for capturing all the digital images in a dentist cabinet. We have around 12,000 customers on that one in over than 12 countries. And on an ophthalmology solution in France and in the Netherlands. On the growth side, we deliver a sustainable and stable growth starting at 2009 on a sales level and on a EBITDA level. But also very important that is that the very strong increase in number of customers, because that's the basis on which we can develop more and more business and we can realize some growth. You see in 2009 strong takeoff with the internationalization of the software also. So our mission, we are a software company. We do some other things also on hardware and services, but mainly our core business is software. And the software that we develop has 2 goals. A, our customers have to have added value on an organizational level, appointments, invoicing, human resource, inventory control, all those things. And on the other hand, on a medical, on a pharmaceutical level. For example, we maintain medical databases which makes it possible for a medicine and our application. When he makes a diagnosis, in the background there's an intelligence turning, processing, and looking what are the antecedents, what are the allergies and all those things. And we make a prescription, we make alerts, take care of that. So that's very, very strong tool. We have similar things in the pharmacy. So on an organizational level and on his professional medical level, we support him on those 2 fronts. Our strategy is mainly based on customer intimacy. Once we acquire a customer, if we pamper him enough, he's a customer for more than 10 years. So you see there 4 lines. I will mix them up a bit. We say innovative software with in-depth knowledge, and the last one, career opportunities. We think it's very important that we have a very good relationship with our customers to feel the needs. Actually, how can we make move on our software? How can we respond? How can we develop new software packages? And at one hand, and on the other hand, with the government, because a lot of rules coming up and changes. So we have to anticipate on those two elements. And the in-depth sector knowledge, well, it's evident. If you have a lot of contact with your customer, you create that knowledge. And as Fagron, we have a lot of pharmacies on the payroll, medicines, veterinarians, and all the professionals. So that about our strategy. And now I will give a little explanation on the evolution of the organization of the healthcare market, because it will make clear to you in the future that you have big opportunities to realize the growth. In the past, previous century until the 60s, when you were sick, you did go to a GP, he made a prescription, you get your medicine at the pharmacy, you go home. If it went a little worse, well, you had a nurse or a nun coming at your home. And if it was really worse, you did go to the hospital. There wasn't, we didn't talk about patient involvement of all those things. Then, second half, starting at the 60s, you started to have a strong development in science, and instead of only a GP, you started to have specialists. So very oriented sciences with the medical devices. So that wasn't possible anymore for the GP. So we went on to the hospital. The hospital became the central part of healthcare in a lot of countries. Also, we saw the coming of the elderly homes for the retirements. Then, now the question is that model sustainable in the future? No, it isn't, because of those elements. We have an aging people. Within a few years, we will have a lot more people on a pension than working. So that's one thing. Second thing, people don't want to go to elderly homes because socially it's not interesting. And if you enter in an elderly home, the average time that you still will live is 2 years. So better stay out of there. So we also have start to write your own ceremony. That's possible too. Then the last useful thing. No, and then you have a growing number of chronic diseases. Also very important. That it's a demand of home care, follow up. There we are confronted with the telemonitoring. So also technological evolution. Still going on, the exponential growth in medical solution possibilities. Ger and Jake explained some things right away. And then also very important, the patient is becoming a customer. In the past, 10 years ago, in Belgium, you did go to a doctor, you have to shut up. He simply said, you will not die and you have to take this medicine. Now, when a patient comes in a cabinet, well, he's well informed. He's Google, he knows what's going on. He likes to take part of a decision. When he's more ill or chronic, like diabetic or something, he wants to be part of his treatment. So that's a very important one. And last but not least, the economic pressure. If you read a lot of studies, if we would like to maintain this model, the budget on healthcare should grow with 6 to 8% each year. So we can't hold that any longer. So what's the evolution? And now it starts getting very interesting for Careus. You see, the patient is becoming centric. So it's not longer the hospital or the GP, it's the patient. And what you see, I take the example with the diabetical patient. Now, for example, we make a prescription and it has to be followed up long time because it's chronic. Normally, you have to have an appointment with a specialist 4 times a year with your GP to make a blood analysis, and intermediate, you have some contact with the diabetologist. So by saying this, that means that you have several actors working for the same patient, but the data isn't centralized in the hospital anymore, or only by near the GP. So that means we have to organize 2 things. We have to centralize the data and make it possible to share the data with all the importance on privacy and access rights and all those things. And on the other hand, we have to make software that makes it possible to monitor the entire process to see, yes, is this customer getting the right treatment, and is every provider in the treatment playing his role. So that's very important. It's a big move, and there are the big opportunities for Careus. All the segments are mentioned here. So in the GPs, the guards, the elderly homes, we are the number 1 or the number 2. If you think at the previous slide, if you want to make a shift on an organizational level and you have to implement all those changes, it's not only software implementation, but also an organizational implementation. So that's very important. And the role that we can play in that, for the government, we are a very interesting party, because by speaking with us, they know that the smallest market share that we have is 30%. The biggest share that we have in segments are 80%. So they know if we talk with Corylus and we deploy, automatically we reach almost the important players and on a big scale. So that's a very interesting part. So we can do the development, we can do the deployment, and besides that, but I won't go into detail on each product. But here you see for each segment that we are in, that we have 1 to 3 own software products, all of them state-of-the-art technology. But I would like to point out the importance of the integration that we did with Health Connect beginning this year. We saw that opportunity of the market shift a few years ago, but we knew if we wanted to play a role with the software by making it possible to exchange data, that it isn't possible to do that only within the Corylus world, because even if we have 50% of a market share, it's always 50% that you have to address. So that's why we contacted and helped creating a startup, Health Connect, to develop a software that makes it possible to exchange data between all the actors. That software was ready medio previous year, and we launched it the end of Q3, at the beginning of Q4, and now we are already on 2,500 customers, among which a lot of new customers. And that's the interesting part, because by entering with the Trojan horse on the communication side, we can come in on the front door with other modules. So that's the very interesting part, and that's also the part with which I would like to end, because that makes it sure for us in the long term that we can develop new products and add them and bring them to the market. We have the developers, we have the market presence, and we are on the right shift for the evolution in the market. So that was. Are there any questions?
How important are the annual price increases? Because I hear from pharmacists in France that Pharmagest is each year increasing the prices, and that pharmacists are not happy.
Each year is a bit too much. We have the index, and let's say average each 2 years we raise the prices. But you have two possibilities to raise the prices. Also, we can add some small functionalities that don't require a lot of development, but that justify a good price increase. That's more gentle to raise the price.
And what about acquisitions? Because this Pharmagest wants to do the same as you. So.
Yeah, but Pharmagest is active in Belgium with Sapco. They are at the number 3 position, and actually they are not that successful because they are far away from the Belgian market. They don't understand the Belgian market. They don't follow as fast enough the evolutions on the development side. So they are there, but they are not really bothering us.
But that could also be a problem for you if you go to other countries like Germany, for example.
Yeah, but entering a country, I think I think there's still enough opportunity in Belgium and in the Netherlands to grow. I think in the first step we would like to focus on that one. And if we go into other countries, I think, as we did with the Mediadent or with the Softalmo, that was really a niche in the market where there were almost no players. That's where we jump in, and that's where we have a possibility to take a good market share. And on the other hand, we could look to make some acquisition in another country to acquire a good position in a market.
Thank you.
By the way, what is the price increase in France? Sorry? What is the price increase in France? The price increase?
I don't know. It's each year 2-3%.
Okay, then we know enough.
Okay, further questions?
I thought there was another person.
Maybe actually, what's the split between let's say the one-off payments and the fee payment for the maintenance earnings from a client?
We don't sell. We are purely on a subscription basis.
Okay.
So we have a very high recurrent income each year, 1st of January.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution, Dirk. Very impressive. I like the slides with the alterations of the healthcare scheme. When you see the 60s, the 90s, and now 2012, very exciting. And now I will give the word to Jan. He's going to tell something about RCS Dental, RCS Healthcare Technology and RCS Healthcare Solutions.
Hi again. So I'm the last speaker, by the way. Okay, we have two more exciting divisions where we really want to touch base on. You know that we reshuffled a little bit divisions last year. Some people, they were wondering why we do that, and I just want to emphasize that it's really done for business reasons. I mean, you will see that the healthcare solutions business, whether you sell to a dentist or a hospital or a GP or an ophthalmologist or whatever, the way we have re-engineered the business over the last 5 years brought these businesses more and more together. So independently of the customers, the business model we do for these distribution businesses is basically very, very much come together. You know that we did a huge work the last 5 years to basically re-engineer these businesses from, let's say, box movers, focusing a lot of consumables, requiring a lot of working capital, very low margin business, very, very competitive businesses, to more added value propositions. So therefore, we make more and more focus on equipment, services. So as Jake said, we are basically a service company by accident selling ingredients. Basically, the way we re-engineered these businesses is the same. We are a service company by accident selling dental chairs or dental equipment or AED equipment towards hospitals. And that's, I think, very important to understand. The difference between Coryllis and Fagron is that this industry is much more competitive. So we have a very high level of competition. At the one hand, let's say the big guys who have a very, very, very high purchase power. And on the other hand, and which is probably the most annoying competition, is the, let's say, the very small mom and dad kind of suppliers who only compete on price. Especially, and that's the other difference between Coryllis and Fagron, is that Coryllis has a very high market share, has a very high level of sustainability in revenues, and obviously has a very low churn rate. So that means that they also are recession-proof, because it's not because there is a recession that the pharmacy will take out his computer, because simply it doesn't. He's unable to even function 1 hour without his software. This business is much more recession sensitive. So we had really some tough years because of the fact that a lot of customers, especially in investment equipment, they really delay their decisions to invest because of they don't know what's going to happen with reimbursements. They don't know how the markets. They don't know. They see that their patients, they just spend less money, especially for the more expensive treatments like implants. You've seen the implant industry going from 25-30% EBITDA margins now below 10. I mean, there's a big margin problem or challenge, I would say, in this market. But every challenge is an opportunity. So the company Solutions is headquartered in Belgium. CEO is Mario Hage. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today because he's on a business trip. And we have depots in Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and Germany, so operating in 4 countries. And now you will understand that basically the business model, as I said, is the same for dental practices of medical professionals. We just want to offer value-added concepts, solutions, and services for dental practices and for medical professionals in the Benelux. So basically, technical services, whether you have to service a AED or a imaging device or a dental chair, basically the knowledge they have to have is more or less the same. So we had a lot of synergies coming in on that point in order to improve and to cope with these declining margins business. And that's basically a lot of work which have been done and a lot of effort we have spent over the last years. Although we shifted a lot of products from, let's say, consumable business to more equipment, so we basically stopped a lot of businesses because we didn't believe in sustainability and either in the growth. We were able to keep up more or less flat sales, despite also the very difficult market conditions. But the margins are low. I mean, this is distribution business. We see declining margins, so it's a very tough business. It's not an easy business, but we're keeping up, and we try to improve it by really focusing on the value-added propositions. So what we basically try to do for these guys, for our customers, is to say, hey, you have an increasing patient load. So because of, as we see a number of increasing, there is an increasing number of visits to dentists, to GPs, to hospitals, because of the aging population, the healthcare spending is rising, etc. But there are less and less professionals, okay? So there is an increasing load towards one professional. What we try to do is, by offering concepts to say, hey guys, we will make sure that you can treat more patients in 1 hour. That's basically what we want to do, by increasing, by offering, for example, workflow optimization, patient flow optimization. For example, in our dental software, we build in an SMS service, because the biggest nightmare for a doctor or a dentist is an empty slot. You wait for a patient, doesn't come. Yeah, that you lose half an hour of income, or 1 hour. Now that's why we say, okay, we will send an SMS 2 days before, or 3 days before, or every hour before he has to come, to say, hey guy, you have an appointment tomorrow, please come to my practice. And then the patient can say, oh yes, I forgot. I called to cancel the appointment, or say, oh yeah, I have to go there. So that's the kind of things we really want to focus on in order to basically optimize the efficiency of dental and medical cabinets. And you have all other kind of things like e-shops, supply chain management, hygiene, traceability, also regulatory, let's say, requirements. They increase every year in this industry, so it's not an easy industry. Therefore, we also respond to that. And obviously, what's important is permanent training. Yeah, these are just some examples of products we sell. And for example, just as an example, AEDs, very hot news. You can sell this product, but what we do is not just selling the AED, but we sell a full concept that the AED, they work in a full network that typically when you need an AED, and luckily it's not every day, it doesn't work because the battery is low or whatever, and then the patient dies. So what we do is constantly put that in a network, monitor every day, making sure that if it doesn't work or there is no current or whatever, that there is an alarm going off, or say this EED in that workplace doesn't work. So we offer a full solution, just more than the product. It's the same with, for example, a big issue in elderly homes and also in hospitals is medication management, the management of the distribution of medication to the patient. It's very work intensive, but we offer a lot of solutions that we kind of give an optimized solution to say, hey guys, based on the needs of the patient, we will inform also together with Coryllis, by the way, we will make sure that we have on an automated basis that we can deliver these things more and more automatically. So it's just not selling just the cards to do the distribution of the medication, but it's much more than that. And then we have healthcare specialties. This is as the word, yes, Mark.
There's one simple question on the healthcare solutions. That's the ongoing discussion. Healthcare services dilutes growth, dilutes margins, dilutes returns. Why do you continue to stick to healthcare solutions within Arceus? And what are your current thoughts on that? Is it up for disposal, yes or no? And why
I'm
not?
sure that in 3 or 4 years we will not be 4 divisions anymore. And that's basically that's still the strategy, but it's very difficult to decide on momentum. So as long as this business is us, it's an exciting business. As long as it belongs to us, and as long as we think the momentum is not good enough, we will focus on managing these business as good as possible.
So it's up for sale, but just depending on time and a good line.
That's your conclusion.
Okay,
thank you. Specialties, operating in the same environment, so mainly dental and medical environment, but more in specialized or more technical type of businesses. We have 3 guys running this business, more or less 300 people. It's a branded business. It's difficult for distribution. Most of these businesses own brand. It's proprietary brands like Harder, like Duomed, like Jolie. And they develop solutions to create value, reduce complexity, provide convenience, help customers to increase their professionalism and focus on their clients. It's basically the same what I said that before, only that this is more towards niche type of markets. So if you look at these different, the sales, also there, this industry is basically operating in the same environment, same complexity, same competition, same margin decreases. So it is not an easy industry. We see a decline of EBITDA margins, and therefore, it's a challenging environment, but we're still making good money. So what does these things do? Jolie is developing practice management software for dental practitioners in France. It is the market leader. They have like 35% market share. It's a very recurring business. It's a very profitable business. O1D is selling and developing and supplying customers with imaging equipment, mostly digital and mostly aimed at the captation of digital images. Has like a position in the world. It's like the 5th in the world in this niche market in the dental industry. Harder is our precision manufacturing industry in Switzerland. They develop precision tools and components for, at the one hand, the dental industry, implant business, all kind of tools they develop. Some of them are also own intellectual property. So we develop, for example, special torque wrenches for dental and orthopedic industry, which are own IP, which we sell then under the client's name. It's like it's a kind of OEM type of business, where we focus more and more on, because implant industry is also suffering from lower margins. So we more and more focus on our own IP type of tools for surgical, medical, and orthopedic dental industry. And yes.
Why isn't Jolie placed under Corylus as a software maker?
It's a very good question, and the reason is that we have Jolie basically is pretty much interacting with O1D. So there is an interaction between Jolie and O1D. So that's why also it's actually it's basically French business. So they're operating in France. It's also it would be a social problem, I would say. You know that in France it's not easy. And also because, they're doing very well, and basically it's in Arceus, and it belongs to one division or another. We don't really care. It's making money, it's good business, and where it belongs, we have our reasons now to put it under dental for many reasons, but also for the interaction with O1D, because all digital equipment, they need software. So they make a link between all digital equipment and the devices, and the software, the devices and the software. And that's important why we want to keep these guys together, but it's a kind of cross-selling type of thing. And that's the main reason. The main reason is business, okay? Then we have Lab, a very nice division operating in a niche market. So they provide products and services to dental technicians, laboratoria, the guys who make the dentures, the prostheses, etc., etc. It's also a market which is obviously, with the recession, was much hit, because the first thing people save money on is the more expensive kind of aesthetics. Okay, if you have a toothache, how do you call it? Tandpijn, was it? Toothache. Yeah, you're not gonna say, "Hey, it's recession. I'm not gonna go to the dentist. I'm gonna wait for 3 years," because no, you go to the dentist and you get it fixed. But if you need an implant, or you need a new crown or whatever, you say, "Oh, it's like buying a new car. I could probably wait another year." But also and on top of it, most of the time it's not reimbursed, while the normal dental operations like extraction or whatever is all reimbursed in Europe by Social Security. Okay, they have a very high market share in Belgium and the Netherlands, and they're number 2 in France. It is a nice niche market. It is also focusing a lot of own products, like for example Selection. It's a complete private label product, especially in the consumable side of the business. CK Presiline, for example, is all dental attachments, so it's a let's say a peripheral product to dental implants. But they really there are 2 in the world. It's a very small market. There are 2 players in the world, and CK Presiline is market leader, so that's a very high margin business because it's proprietary business. And Duomed is an extremely nice business, also very profitable business, because also operating in a niche. They'll basically do everything which is laparoscopic. So trocars, stitching, and all these type of things. They are specialized, and they have a very, very experienced team of people visiting surgeons, being continuously in operating theaters, and also having a lot of opinion leaders. And that makes us unique, that a lot of manufacturers all over the world, for the Belgian and the Dutch market, because this is a Benelux business, they use Duomed to introduce new products or to represent our products on an exclusive basis because of our link with the surgeons and the hospitals and the operating theaters, where we basically live with these guys, literally to sell and to support their daily activity in their surgeon and laparoscope surgery. Okay, any questions on these businesses? Thank you very much. Then I think Gary is going to end the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Jan. You can understand that we are extremely proud here. We are a very, very, very successful company when you look at our sales numbers, margin numbers, but especially our profit numbers. The key message is that we are a company consistent of very, very well-educated professionals in the healthcare, that everybody is working daily to help our patients. So it's not the patient of our customers, but we feel it as our customers. Our patients are our customers. We cannot make any mistake. Don't forget, all the things we are supplying, raw materials, dental equipment, medical equipment, software, cannot contain any mistake. We are in a zero tolerance business. That's extremely important to understand the quality-driven nature of our company. And I am very sure, and I hope you understand, that Arceus will be and shall be a very promising future company, that it will stay sustainable businesses for the next 5, 6, 10 years, 15 years, very profitable, very high margin generative, and therefore our outlook is always the same. The management expects healthy organic growth and profitability that is expected to grow faster than the turnover growth. I hear some laughing. Why is that? Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you all for being here. I will ask my colleague to present a little bit how we're going to proceed from here, because you get, first of all, the questions, of course. Yes? Sorry, I forgot. That gentleman over there.
Yes, thank you very much. Fabian Smees from ING Bank. 2 questions. I think both of you for you, but maybe one of them also for Jake. I was pondering during the coffee break on your personal EBITDA margin or EBITDA target for Fagron of 100 million in 2014. Very promising ambition. I was wondering, how do you see this EBITDA developing from the 2012 EBITDA you had, I think around 67 million euros? What part do you expect from acquisitions? What part do you expect from organic growth? And also, do you need to sell maybe other parts of Arceus to achieve that, or do you think that you can do that without selling any other businesses? And then on the regulatory environment, I think it's very important for Fagron especially I think in the US, but maybe you can also give some more clarity on the regulatory environment, both in the US, but also in Europe and maybe also in Latin America. How do you see that developing, and what kind of impact do you expect on Fagron?
Okay. First of all, about my personal ambition regarding the 100 million. We're doing currently extremely well in Brazil, extremely well in the US, extremely well in Poland, and very good in the rest of our businesses for the Fagron Group. But when I mean extremely well, it's really extremely well. So when we started in Brazil, only 3 years ago, we were able to increase the margins on a very severe scale. We were able to increase the EBITDA margins over there significantly. The US market is very promising. That's why we invest a lot in it. It generates high margins. The healthcare industry is there, a very expensive industry. There's a lot of margin in the column still, and it will remain, if I may believe Jake, for the next 10 years, because the reimbursement environment is so unclear to everybody that will really remains. Jake, maybe you can elaborate on the US market regarding regulatory.
Yes, so, can you hear me? Okay. Who asked the question? Okay. The regulatory market in the US is very complex and dynamic. What we have right now is a federal versus state kind of battle going on, which is not new to the US. The federal, led by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, state led by the state boards of pharmacy. Historically, the state boards have controlled the compounding market with regard to oversight. FDA kind of rears its head when major disasters happen, like what just happened with NECC. But what we've seen recently is really not much movement, not much activity. The state level is continuing to be active, very active in the oversight of compounding. We don't think that's going to change going forward. The FDA has been slightly more active with regard to coming in and auditing pharmacies. But again, that's par for the course.
Okay, and I want to add something. When there are regulatory affairs or issues going on, Fagron, as being the world market leader, is of course the best equipped. For us, it's just let's say a benefit, because the entry barrier for newcomers or for our competition is being increased daily. So we are profiting from that on a very high scale. We see actually 2 days ago a competitor of us was closed in Brazil, for example, due to the fact that he wasn't able to comply with the new pharmaceutical standard in that country, which are very high. So everybody thinks South America not organized, much stronger organized and regulated than even the US, for example. That's when the knowledge comes in. So regulatory, we are very well equipped.
Maybe adding on to your EBITDA target.
Yes.
I think you dodged my question a bit. How do you want to go from the 67 million towards the 100 million in 2 years? I understand acquisitions will be part of that. How much?
Yes.
I understand organic growth will be part of that.
Yes.
How much do you expect to come from organic
you
growth?
saw that the normal EBITDA, the normal internal growth level was between 8 and 10%. Also, and then I have to say it correctly, for the currency rates, the right currency rate, we are going 8.4% in the first quarter, which is of course in these times enormously. And I expect the next year around the same magnitude, between 8 and 10% for the Fagron Group organically. And then you can calculate what is going on. Growth, giving the purchase power, and I give you one disclosure. Fagron US, Freedom together will save only on the 400 products that Jake has currently in his assortment, $1 million of savings in purchase. You can imagine how much you have to sell for 1 million euros or dollars of purchase savings. So that's really helping us. We are becoming the absolute market leader. We are the absolute market leader. We have our own purchase, so the margins are going to increase, sales are going to increase, the organic growth is going to increase, and our acquisition pipeline is very well filled. Every Fagron general managers throughout the world has the task, and is also part of his bonification scheme, has the task to have a acquisition pipeline. So Jake already identified, before we started even our conversations, if we're going to work together, am I able to purchase this, 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 and this? And by the way, I like Canada. So, that's a little bit the game we are playing here. Okay. Next, Rombout, yes?
You changed your division structure this year, at least how you report it. In the past, you had margin targets for RCS medical and RCS dental. Can you provide us with new targets in this new segment that you now have?
We always have said to you and to all the analysts that we always want to have to work to double-digit EBITDA margins, even for the medical healthcare technology and healthcare solutions, and we are still having that goal.
But for solutions, it's a way to go.
Yeah.
It's only
so we have some work to do.
1.9%, and you still think it's possible to go to 10?
No, we doubled it from last year.
Yeah, very low base.
Yeah, what can I say? We double it. We are working on it daily, and of course, it's not the most profitable business we have, but we are still, till the day we are going to divest it, we are firm believers in our CS healthcare solutions and our CS healthcare technologies. But we want to be in the decisive mode. We are going to decide when, what, and wherever we're going to sell one of our divisions. Don't forget, and this is also the underlying strategic part, our CS healthcare solutions are always the number one or the number two. So even that is an entry barrier, and we have always had an appetite for dental assets in the RCS group. There still are, there's a lot of appetite due to the fact that geographically they are the number one or the number two. You cannot enter the French market, for example, without acquiring RCS dental solutions in France. Belgium, same part. The Netherlands, also the same part. You cannot enter, let's say, technology. No, okay, this is another thing. Okay.
Maybe just to add a small supporting. It seems that 2% to 10% is like an impossible job, but you should know that the cost base of these divisions are very fixed. That means that once your sales go up again, and basically this is a recession type of business, so once we see a revival in the economy, you will see a lot of dentists and etc. who delayed investments starting to invest again because they still have a cabinet. So that means that the leverage is extremely high. That means that if you can realize 10% more sales with the same cost base, and we are equipped for, your EBITDA margins really go up very, very significantly. So this is really driven by sales growth, and this sales growth, I mean, will be done by, I think, will also depend a little bit on the economic environment.
The other new division with Julie O&D, they have in the past 15-16% EBITDA margin, so 10% looks for that division a bit low.
Double digit doesn't mean only 10%. No, the decline is basically especially driven by, first of all, Swiss operations. They were in a difficult market environment because of dental implant industry. They have declining margins, and also we were handicapped by the Swiss franc. I mean, don't underestimate the strong franc was really not helping us. And of course the implant market margin erosion. So therefore we shifted more towards medical orthopedic market and own IP. So that's really a shift in the business model. And secondly, the O&D business was hampered by also margin decreases because medical devices, especially in dental equipment, they really reduced. And thirdly, the dental lab was also suffering because of declining revenues because of economic environment. But that picks up a little bit.
I understand the Americas are a very important area for growth.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, Jan was attending our conference, and he put a lot of emphasis for the hospital.
Yes.
Compounding business with, I think, in Bornem, you opened a facility. In France, you were going to do some stuff. So I'm a little bit surprised at the slides of today. don't touch that much of that angle. So my question on the hospital business is this going to require substantial investments, capex-wise, I don't know what, on the way you do today the service of your clients? And where would you like to see that specific business going? Is it like an add-on, like 5 or 10% of what Fagron does? Or is this more like 30% of your business? Can you educate us a little bit on that?
We see more and more globally that hospital pharmacies want to outsource, like cleaning companies or kitchen, let's say the kitchen, how you call that? Catering companies, that they want to divest that or outsource that service to, for example, the Fagron Group. We are aiming for 30% in the hospital market within the next 10 years. So because that's a high-level, formulation-driven service, pharmaceutical service business, which we believe firmly in. We just started it 4 years ago in the Netherlands, very profitable. It's very high service level, and we think that we now expanded it to, we're now going to expand it to Belgium. We also have plans in place for France. Colombia is also doing already a lot of compounding for hospital pharmacies as well. And of course the United States, but then we have to have another scale as being Fagron. Then we have to be as Fagron only a 1 billion company to get into that market. But we are sure that we are in Europe are going to be the key driver of that business.
Thanks. So I understand then that it's a kind of a new market that is opening up, and you are for sure the number one in the pharmacy, in the business of pharmacy servicing. Do you see the same entry barrier for your competitors or newcomers in that area, because it's new, so, and it's a highly regulated, highly professional environment where scale matters? Any danger from that angle?
Looking at now, for example, we have the past 2 years we have hired more than 10 hospital pharmacists. You can understand they are working on this. So in Bornem they work 2 hospital pharmacists. In the Netherlands they're working 4 pharmacists. Even in this building they're working 2 hospital pharmacists. We put them out of the hospital into the commercial environment just to be able to comply with all regulatory, all the commercial possibilities. Don't underestimate this market. Currently, we are now in negotiations with numerous Dutch and Belgian hospitals to fully outsource their compounding business. So they want to give it to us, like catering, like cleaning companies. They say, you guys, you are much better equipped. We want maybe outsource our businesses, our compounding business to you as being the excellent center of compounding in Europe. Okay? Next, maybe the last question before we start. Yeah. What should I say? What do we have a greenfield? I'm so traveling all around the world, so I'm a little bit. No, I don't think France is now very successful. The UK, no, we don't have any greenfield. No, just only started in Saudi Arabia, but this is very successful. Okay. Sorry.
I'm surprised a little bit about that you have so greenfield.
Yeah, but we are extremely busy with our own organic growth. So thank you. Sorry? Argentina we do, of course, last year, but it's still going on. But a difficult country, as you know. It's doing well.
Greenfield like?
Yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well. It's performing well. So Argentina was the last one, but not this year. Okay. Okay, thank you all for attending. I hope it makes it clear that we have a beautiful future. Fransje now will tell you something about, you all have a
name badge on, and you will see the color on the name badge. Here's the color red. There are 4 colors, red, green, yellow and blue. Can you please go to the other side? If it is there, yeah. You will see that the color red is, your guide will be Ger van Jeveren. First of all, you will go to the warehouse. Jan Peters will guide the green group. Ellen van Sprundel, please raise out your hand, will guide the yellow group. And last but not least, Constijn van Rietschoten will guide the blue group. Every stop will take around 10 minutes. After that, around 1 o'clock, I think, no, 1:15, something like that. There will be a light lunch over here, and then there will be some demonstrations, some lolly-based demonstrations, and we will see you in an hour. Have fun.
Ik zal je even helpen, ja.
Ik kan je niet altijd helpen.